is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Well, my little appearances on Fox have come to an end this week. I was on the Hannity show last night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope you saw that. I was on Cavuto 4 p.m. Eastern today. Hope you saw that. These are two of my favorite people. Very, very good friends. And on Friday, there's a 1 big hour, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're not going to be home, I hope you'll TiVo it. We had a blast, and you're going to love this. If you're my audience, you're going to love this. And some of the audience members, David Limbaugh, Michelle Malkin, Steve Bannon of Breitbart, Terry Jeffrey of CNS News. I started down the list. I'm not going to remember. Monica Crowley. What else? Niger Innis. Just, so many. Our friend Jedediah Bila. Oh, folks, I went down the list. I shouldn't have started, but wonderful, wonderful people. You're going to love it. There it was, the right-wing conspiracy right there. We weren't even fair and balanced. We were just right. But got some very, very good questions, and I think you're going to like the answers. And, folks, I want us to be optimistic about what we can do. I really do. I want us to aspire to do some of these things, or at least to discuss them at length. And I'm not going to be doing a lot of TV. This is pretty much it. I might do one or two more shows in the next week or two. So I don't do a lot of TV. I'm not going to do a lot of TV. So if you want to see what was being discussed, you can take a look. I've even linked to it on my social sites, Mark Levin Show, Facebook, Mark Levin Show, Twitter. They're right up there. And again, Friday, I think you're going to love it. Here's the deal. Friday, you watch Hannity at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fox News Channel with me for a whole hour and this magnificent studio audience. Then Saturday, you watch the UFC where my buddy Chael Sonnen is fighting. This is like as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. So I think you'll enjoy it. And listen to this one. Even better. Saturday, you can come to book review in Huntington, New York, on Long Island, and we can all meet each other, and I'll sign a copy of your book. Then you're really going to be all excited and happy. I know I will. And then Sunday, listen to this weekend. Bookends, Ridgewood, New Jersey. Oh, my goodness. I can barely stand it. This is going to be cool. All right, let me get down to some news here. I saw this article in the Washington Examiner by, who's it by? I think it's Byron York. Now, I want you to listen to this. When asked about their prospects for 2014, most Republicans will say that whatever happens with the Senate, the GOP is a virtual lock to keep control of the House. The House majority is the Republicans' single hold on power in Washington, and the only way the party has been able to shape national policy during Barack Obama's presidency. Republicans haven't worried about losing the House because, first, having won by a landslide in 2010, thanks to you and my audience, among others, they got the control of redistricting process, and they have used that power to draw districts that give them an advantage. Second, Obama, having won re-election, is not particularly popular, and his ratings could slip further by November 2014. And third, history teaches that the presidential party just doesn't gain seats in the midterms of a president's second term. So the thinking goes, Obama's Democrats can't win, the House will stay Republican. Unless it doesn't. Behind the scenes, in whispered asides, not for public consumption, Some Republicans are now worried that keeping the House is not such a done deal after all. They look back to two elections, 1998 and 2006, in which Republicans seriously underperformed expectations. And they wonder if 2014 might be a little like those two unhappy years. And I've been warning about this. The majority is at risk, says one well-connected Republican strategist. It should be a good year, but you need to run like you're trying to win, and you need a good, solid strategy. And what is the Republican strategy? Mr. Producer, do you know what the Republican strategy is? No, he's dumbfounded. Mr. Call Screener? No, he's lame-brained on this one. Anybody else? No. I will explain the Republican strategy in a moment, so you'll want to take notes. In 1998, Republicans with a narrow majority in the House expected to pick up at least 20 seats. It was a weird year with the Lewinsky scandal consuming Bill Clinton's presidency. But Clinton wasn't on the ballot, a fact that didn't stop House Republicans from campaigning against him. Yes, we were going to make the race all about Clinton, the strategist recalls. These are the genius consultants and operatives in Washington. Just remember that. Who can't win damn elections. Well, it didn't work. Instead of picking up 20 seats, the GOP lost 5. So much for presidents never picking up seats in a second term. Republicans kept control of the House, but by a margin so small, it made governing difficult. Then in 2006, when the architect, Karl Rove, I got to come up with a name with this guy. Tired of speaking his name. And by the way, they should change the name of my beloved Fox News to Rove News, because the boy is on every damn show with that stupid whiteboard. If I ever see him and bump into him, I'm going to take that damn whiteboard out of his hands and break it over my leg. See, where was I? In 2006, another president in his second term, this time Republican George W. Bush. The Republicans controlled the House and saw itself heading toward another victory. The whole focus was on attacking Democrats, recalls the strategist. There was the belief that the districts were structurally Republican. Bush had carried a number of them, and we had a financial advantage. This was the architect, Rove. This was his plan. But instead of cruising to a victory, the GOP lost 30 seats and ushered in the era of Speaker Pelosi. I want you to keep this in mind. Just look how the Republican establishment loses elections. Now we the people, handed them the House of Representatives in 2010. They would not have the House of Representatives but for the conservative constitutional Tea Party movement. Period. And ever since that victory, they've been stiffing us. Or worse, attacking us. They got McCain. That's who they wanted. He got blown out. They got Romney. That's who they wanted. He got blown out. They have the speaker that they want. They have the Republican minority leader that they want. They've got everything they want. And they're losers. Now, this is my great fear. My great fear is that guys like Boehner and, quite frankly, Paul Ryan and Eric Cantor and this goofball McCarthy, they don't get it at all. Midterm elections, in particular, are base elections. They are turnout elections. And they're doing everything they can to turn us off. To turn us off. Where are they standing ground and keeping ground and fighting? Instead, it's, no, we're not going to shut down the government. Even if that's your ultimate view, why do you reveal that to the leftists and the media? It's like playing poker and the idiot shows his cards. And that's what he does. Hey, look at this. And also, amnesty, pathway to citizenship, this is their number one issue. No. And then we have Obamacare, the President of the United States, rubbing the Republicans' nose in it, acting like he's king, or as I've been saying, and now others, an imperial president. No, we'll follow this part of the law. No, I'm suspending this part of the law. No, I'm deferring this part of the law. What the hell is that? And what are the Republicans doing about it? Now, the typical Republican response will be, well, what do you want us to do about it? Here's what I want you to do. You fools should have been time and time again, every time he has violated the Constitution, you should have made an issue out of it. You should have punished him in some way, denied him some appointee, obstructed some piece of legislation. Draw attention to this lawlessness so the American people, after a year or 2 or 3 of you consistently explaining it and hammering away at it, would in fact be aware of what you're trying to do and say. But instead, what do we get? What do we get? We get John McCain attacking Ted Cruz. What do we get? Chris Christie attacking Rand Paul. What do we get? Karl Rove attacking Mike Lee. The same dug-in, entrenched losers who may well cost us the House of Representatives in the next election. And do you know what Obama will do again if he controls the whole damn thing? And he's banking on it. That's why he's putting all these things off. He's sucking people in to vote for him, and then he's gonna drop the hammer. Then what do? Well, we don't control any 1/2 of 1/3 or anything else. And what are the Republicans going to do then? Blame the conservatives? Blame the Tea Party? What are they going to do then? We can't control anything. We don't even have 1/2 of 1/3. Of course you don't. Look what you've squandered. Look at what you've squandered, the opportunity. This president is pathetic. His policies are a disaster. We have sustained high unemployment, sustained housing problems. The economy is still on its back. He won't secure the damn border. He's hollowing out the military. He's hollowing out NASA. What the hell? He's handing you the issues to run on. And what do? You attack conservatives. Brilliant. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
All right, well, folks, last week I asked, what does the Republican Party stand for? And the answer couldn't have been clear. You don't have the foggiest idea, and neither do I. I will say there was this debate on Hannity between Senator Mike Lee and the architect. The architect. What did he build? The Leaning Tower of Pisa? Nothing about the collapse? Anyway, the architect, and Mike Lee kicked his butt. Did you notice that? Oh, yes. He's at a handicap on Radio Rove. He doesn't have his whiteboard. So, folks, if we lose the House of Representatives, whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't think these fools in Washington understand that many of you are dispirited. And if you're not dispirited, you're disgusted with them. To the extent we're going to breathe some optimism and life into the future, it's going to be through us, you and me. It's going to be through the Liberty Amendments. It's going to be in evading, bypassing Congress and the Republican establishment. Anybody still think the RNC wants me to be a moderator at any of the Republican primary debates? I already accepted, and I haven't heard a response from them. Because I know and you know that that's not a serious request. And even if it is, it's intended to get me to cool it. And I'm not going to cool it. But I've accepted. I've accepted on the air. Isn't it a contract law? They made an offer and I have accepted. Hey, Mr. Call Screener, you call that Rents Priebus over there at the RNC. You said they made an offer. I accepted. That's a verbal contract. All right, let's take a call, shall we? Let's see here. Jason, Arlington, Virginia, the great WMAL. Go.
Hey, Mark, how you doing? I just wanted to basically point out that the Republicans are spending too much time focusing on social issues.
Stop. What social issue are the Republicans focusing on?
They should not be talking about anything about abortion and stuff.
All right, stop. Who's by the way, whether I agree with you or not, who's talking about abortion? Name one.
Rick Perry in Texas.
We're talking about the House of Representatives. Rick Perry is the governor of Texas.
That's right, but what I'm saying is...
All right, let me put a decree out. Republicans, don't talk about abortion. Only Democrats can talk about abortion, partial birth abortion, after-birth abortion. You Democrats, you can talk about the abortion pill. You can talk about whatever you want. Women's genitalia. You can talk about transgendering, same-sex marriage, whatever you want. Republican, shh, don't say anything. Do I have that about right, Jason?
No, my point essentially is that if you're going to capture voters, the number one thing you want to point out to them is the fact that all of these things that we've come to count on, Social Security, Medicaid, and all of these other things, if you don't even get the budget in set, you can't even meet the current obligations for the promises you made on those programs, let alone the other stuff.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So we should talk about the financial destruction of the country, which I agree with you. We should fight them on the continuing resolution, which I agree. We should fight them on the increase of the national debt, which I agree with you. But don't talk about any other issues. Do I have that about right?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, though, is if you're talking about a message that you want to put out there, like here's a good example for what Republicans should be doing. They should be saying, you know what? There's a company called HSBC, and they were laundering Mexican drug cartel money.
Oh, that's a winner.
It is, and we should point out the fact that nobody went to jail, but we're putting people in prison for minor crimes in this country.
All right, listen to me a second. Do you want to lose the House forever?
No.
Okay. People don't even want to talk about Benghazi, where we lost 4 Americans, and you want to talk about what's it? HB what?
HSBC and Wells Fargo.
HSB, what are you, a disgruntled former employee of this organization? What is this?
What I am is a person that realizes that, unfortunately, in our society today, the level of the crimes you commit is not in proportion to what happens.
I agree that there are way too many criminal penalties and statutes in this country. In fact, hold on, I'm educating you. In fact, quiet him down. Where's this guy going with this stuff? Go ahead. Give you 20 seconds. Go.
I'll give you 20 seconds. Here you go. The CIA had houses in Benghazi, okay? And they were running guns to Syria without congressional approval. And McCain's on that side, and Obama's on that side.
What does this have to do with the other thing that you were talking about?
They're all together.
I think you're Speaker Boehner. All right, my friend, listen. Get your wits together. Focus on the subject you want to talk about, because so far you said if the Republicans want to win, they have to run on something, and I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. That's why I think you're Speaker Boehner, to be perfectly honest with you. I'll be right back.
Love him or hate him or really, really hate him. The Great One is on the air at 877-381-3811.
So, if the Republicans lose the House, which they might, which would be incredible incompetence on their part, just absolutely outrageous, and I look at the lineup there with Boehner and Cantor and McCarthy, Manny, Moe, and Jack. And I think to myself, it's like you picked the 3 weakest guys out of the Republican Party and made them your leaders. This Cantor, how are you? Boehner, and McCarthy. I don't want to offend used car salesmen. There's many used car salesmen in the audience who are very good people, and they're listeners to my program. I've met many good used car salesmen. But there you have it. That's the lineup. That's the power structure in the Republican House of Representatives there. And if we lose the House, which would be a disaster, because as incompetent as they are, you know, they're at least like a log in the road. They slow down the truck. But if we lose them, can you imagine what Obama will do? Dan, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the great KFAQ country. Go.
Hey, I had a question for you. I was listening to you on Hannity this afternoon.
Yellow.
And
are you there, Dan?
Pardon?
Dan, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Go.
Yes, I had a question for you about the comments this afternoon on Hannity. I'm not challenging your thoughts, but...
Is this Dan from Oklahoma, yes or no?
Yes.
You're sure you're not the other guy that called before?
No, I am not.
Can you prove that? Yes or no?
No, I cannot.
All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to
Why are you taking so long? Move it along.
Your comments on the congressional term limits.
All right, I'll behave. Yes?
And I just wondered, I'm not challenging your thoughts, but...
You're allowed to challenge my thoughts, man.
Okay, but then I'll challenge your thought that is I don't want to have a bunch of Chuck Schumers and John McCains that aren't accountable to anybody. So if you give them a term limit, then...
Well, you do have Chuck Schumers and John McCains who are unaccountable to anybody.
Yeah.
So if you have term limits, what?
Well, if you give him a term limit, then you have a situation with Obama. Right now, he's at the end of his term, so...
Yeah, but it was better than FDR, who got elected over and over and over again, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Let's take the House as an example. It would only be the last 2 years out of the 12. And yet they may still want to run for governor or something, or they may want to run for president. They may want to run for some state office where the states are actually more powerful, in my view, they should be, than they are today under this amendment process. As for the Senate, what I'm proposing there is that the state legislatures choose the senators, so the Senate is made up of representatives of the states. The states have got to be, the states are dormant. The states they're not even appendages of the federal government. They're whipped puppies. And the states gave life to the federal government, and the Constitution would never have been ratified if there was direct election of senators as opposed to state legislators electing senators. So what I'm saying is, whether that happens or not, under my proposal, the state legislature, by a supermajority vote, can remove the U.S. senator.
Well, thank you for clearing that up. I wasn't challenging. I just didn't understand.
Why are you so? I wasn't challenged, but you're allowed to challenge me. You're allowed to ask questions, as long as you don't say, "Hey, Bush did it." Then I'm more than happy to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Oh, I meant to give him. Somebody's going to get the absolute first signed copy of the official Liberty Amendments Restoring the American Republic today. Kate, Mobile, Alabama, the great WABB. Go.
How are you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you?
I just wanted to say that you have completely inspired me. I was listening to you a few days ago when you were talking about your new book, and you were talking about the Constitution, and I realized that I've never read it. I mean, I've read the Bill of Rights, and we had to memorize that in government class. I'm 19 and just graduated high school. We had to memorize the Bill of Rights in government class, but we never went over the actual Constitution. And I sat down and read it the other day, and I just wanted to tell you how much you inspired me, empowered me. I thought that as an individual, I didn't have any power within our government. And listening to you, it's just been a complete inspiration.
Well, you're great. That's wonderful. And make sure you take another look at that Article 5. I'll tell you what, Kate, you're the official first recipient of the Liberty Amendments Restoring the American Republic. Don't hang up. I want to send you a signed copy. And thank you, Kate.
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right. God bless. Let's see. Ed, Las Cruces, New Mexico, XM Satellite. Go.
Hey, Mark. Democrat Light by John Boehner is not going to win anything. And if they continue to, he thinks that if he
doesn't act... Do you think John Boehner will cost us, or may cost us, the House of Representatives?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm worried about, too.
Because Harry Reid said, we'd like an omnibus bill, but, they can send whatever they want to us, and we'll just hash it out in committee, and we'll get this done. And I haven't given a penny to the RNC since the last time they tried this crap back in 2007. And if Boehner thinks that they're going to lose unless they act on immigration reform, he's out of his mind.
I fear that if Boehner wins what he's trying to do, gets what he wants, the Republicans are going to be in deep trouble in the House of Representatives.
And another note, you don't see Democrat senators on the floor of the Senate attacking each other over their individual positions on issues.
That's a great point, Ed. You do not see Democrats attacking each other, calling each other names. You do not see elected Democrats trashing their base. You are so right. And that's why the base in the Republican Party, the conservatives, are disgusted.
Fed up. I'm
fed up, too.
I'm completely fed up. And, you know, Gramnesty and McLean attacking Mike Lee, it doesn't do anything but give the media and the Democrats, they sit back and smile, and they go, let them fight it out, and we're going to win in the end.
You know, I wasn't going to do this. This is a great call. So I'm going to give you a copy of the Liberty Amendments, Restoring the American Republic. Don't hang up, a signed copy. Thank you, Ed. Great call.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you.
What happened? We got 2 good calls in a row there, Mr. Call Screener. Oh, well, we had the guy before them. Hey, don't talk about abortion. Hey, talk about that. Don't talk about. Okay, fine. Thank you. I think that's Boehner's speechwriter, that guy. Mark, why do you always pick on Boehner? Because he's screwing up, ladies and gentlemen, and we're running out of time. That's why. You may have other people behind a microphone who talk in generalities or are nebulous about who they're focused on. I don't feel I need to do that. All right, let us go to Kevin, Minneapolis, XM Satellite. Go.
Mr. Levin, thank you for taking my call. Let me preface by saying I'm a 45-year-old disabled veteran with a brain injury that in my junior year of college.
Well, God bless you, man.
It's tough. But what I have to talk about is every 10 years when they do a census is when they do redistricting. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going through this right now in Wisconsin because every time it's a Republican that's redistricting, they complain about it. But they never say word one when the Democrats are doing their districting. And in fact, back in 1982 in the state of Wisconsin, there was a bill put forth where it was going to be a nonpartisan committee that went forth and did the redistricting, but the Democrats went against it. But yet now they're going to complain that...
You know what? This is another great point. When the Democrats gerrymander, and that's what we're talking about, and they make safe seats for certain people of certain ethnicity and so forth, that's not a Voting Rights Act violation. That's not discrimination. You know, basically shepherding everybody in one racial group or one ethnic group in a district to make sure that's perfectly fine. And you know what? You're exactly right. It's not perfectly fine. Very good, Kevin. Thank you for your call, my friend. Matt, Atlanta, Georgia. Sirius, go.
Hey, I'm calling about Boehner. I mean, we need to get rid of this guy. I've been saying it for years. Watching him on TV is like watching paint dry. Nobody wants to watch that crap. I mean, he doesn't do anything to move our party forward. He's just like Democrat light. All he's doing is trying to, rebound from everything Obama's doing. He doesn't do anything on the offensive.
So he's playing constant defense. He's constantly fearful that they're going to lose the majority and he'll lose his speakership. And isn't it true, my friend, that if you're not going to advance the ball, you're going to lose?
Exactly. I'm 40 years old. I've watched what's happened to this party, and it's just all they keep saying is, we can run that program better than the Democrats. No, we don't need to have the program at all.
Well, can you tell me today, right now, what is Boehner's plan?
Hold
on now. What is Boehner's, be specific, for addressing Obamacare?
Nothing.
It's even worse than that, isn't it? He thinks that conservatives and Republicans are so stupid. They've gone through this fan dance of one vote after another on repealing Obamacare. What is it, 40 votes? So they can be on the record and run home and say, I voted to repeal, knowing damn well that's not how you attack that law.
All he has to do, we control the purse. All he has to do is say, no money to that program, no money to that program.
Or at least fight it.
Yeah. I mean, all we have to do, if we don't like something, they just don't have to fund it.
I'm going to tell you, these guys act like losers, and if they're not careful, they're going to be losers. Thank you for your call, my friend. Ancestry.com. It's hard to find all the details of your family's story. Documents get misplaced, relatives mix up dates, or may no longer be here to share their stories. That's why I use tryancestry.com to uncover these missing details. With TryAncestry.com, I found the date my great-grandfather arrived in New York, the name of his ship, and the length of his voyage to a new life in America. Now, these are details we didn't know, but we're able to find at TryAncestry.com. I want you to go to TryAncestry.com, see what you can discover for 14 days free. And while you're there, you need to check out Ancestry DNA. And I've done that, too. It's at its lowest price ever, and the results will amaze you. And I did it, and I love the detail on where my ancestors once lived and continuous updates I get for free along the way. I get these emails fairly frequently. This is your third cousin. This is your fourth cousin. These are your sixth cousins. I don't even know what the hell a sixth cousin is, but if I ever want to track them down, I get the information. So visit TryAncestry.com. Start your 14 days free and order your Ancestry DNA kit today while the price is at its lowest. Visit TryAncestry.com. That's TryAncestry.com.
Mark Levin.
All right, Terry, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, the great WTMA. Go.
Mark, thank you so much for your show. I only trust you and J. Christian Adams, and I have this question.
Yes.
Why is anybody suing this un-American president to require him to implement fully Obamacare so we can see what's going to happen this side of the election so the Republicans, regardless of their stupidity, will sweep the election next year? Is anybody
Well, I'm going to tell you
guy?
why that won't work. Two reasons.
Tell me.
It takes years to get a case before the Supreme Court, and he's delaying these things for 1 year. That's number one. So the Supreme Court in this case wouldn't have initial jurisdiction or original jurisdiction.
No way to expedite that
No, there isn't.
because of the election?
No, they won't care. Number two, what do you think the Supreme Court's going to do? It's the very court that upheld Obamacare. This is the problem. This is why I wrote this book, The Liberty Amendments, Restoring the American Republic. We keep begging the court to do the right thing. We keep begging Congress to do the right. They're not going to do the right thing. They want this. Let's be honest. I'm starting to think that the Republicans want Obamacare. So when they're in power, they can exercise all of this authority. I don't see this Republican Party as a conservative party that's interested in individual liberty. They don't even talk about the Constitution.
I can't disagree with you. The issue is, you know, this president he's required to implement the law, not parts of it, all of it.
Of course. Now, who's going to stop him?
I don't know. We're in a mess.
No, we're in a post-constitutional period. Yes, a mess.
You're right.
So what are we going to do about it? Just sit around and whine about it? We can do that, and we can fight these elections, and we can fight in the primaries, and we can lobby our members of Congress. I'm not opposed to that. But why don't we try something else, too?
Well, what we can do. We can work on voter fraud, which I believe...
No, voter fraud isn't going to stop Obamacare.
No, it's not going to stop
law.
Obamacare. It's going to keep our House of Representatives, I think.
No, I don't think voter fraud is what's going to be the issue if we keep the House of Representatives or not. I think the Republican agenda, which is non-existent, is the issue.
I agree. It's sad.
It's disgusting.
I just wanted to know about the court case because we've got to stop him somehow.
There's no relief there and not soon enough to matter in any event.
Yeah, you know, there's no provision in our form of government to have a president that is innately...
Yes, there is. There are two provisions. One's an impeachment clause, which will not be used by this Congress, and the other is the Article 5, the Second Amendment process. Not Second Amendment, the Second Amendment process. SECOND, lowercase s.
Yes.
All right, my friend. Thank you for your call. Let's see here. Oh, Lisa, Outer Banks, North Carolina, on the Mark Levin app, the greatest app in the free world and the rest of the world. Go right ahead.
Hi, Mark.
Yes, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. Mark, I've been waiting a long time for this book, and I'm thrilled that you wrote it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What I want to talk about is the practical application of your book. I've been an activist a long time in my state here in North Carolina, And there's really two parts to this application. So we have to apply, our state legislatures have to apply to the Congress to call a convention, 2/3 of the states. So as an activist, then, my first task would be to make sure that my state legislators are informed about this process.
Let me stop you there, because what do you mean apply? I want to see.
Well, I'm reading Article 5. It says that the Congress shall call a convention for proposing amendments
and make Go ahead.
Right, the Congress, when 2/3 of the House, et cetera, or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states.
And what does that mean?
To me, that means that the states have to convey to the Congress, 2/3 of them, that they want a convention to be called.
And what does Congress do?
Congress must call a convention.
And I'm going to underscore your point. Federalist 85, Alexander Hamilton. Just listen to this. I want to stick with you because you're a great caller. The national rulers, whenever 9 at that time, 2/3 of the states concur, will have no option upon the subject. By the 5th article of the plan, that's Article 5, the Congress will be obliged, and he put it in italics, obliged on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the states to call a convention for proposing amendments which shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislature of 3/4 of the states or by the conventions of 3/4 thereof. The words of this article are peremptory. The Congress shall call, this is still Hamilton, not me. The Congress shall call a convention. Nothing in this particular is left to the discretion of that body. And as a consequence, all the declamation about the disinclination to a change vanishes in air. So when critics were saying, I want to hold on to Lisa, when critics were saying, well, then Congress will say no. Congress must accept the applications. They have no substantive role whatsoever. They are a collection department. That is it. Nothing more. Their job is ministerial. They have no substantive power. And if they seek to exercise it, the states meet despite what Congress does.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, my friends. This is Hour 2. I'm Mark Levin. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Before I get to Lisa, who is right on this constitutional issue, I want to thank you, my beloved audience, this vast audience that is concerned about the future of this country. And you have made the Liberty Amendments the #1 book on Amazon.com. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen now is eventually the ruling class is going to unleash an assault, if they unleash anything, or they're going to pretend that we're not even talking about this. But there will be some that won't be able to control themselves, and they will unleash an assault. And this is when I'm at my best. Because I will tell you right now, I know who's going to do it, and I know why they're going to do it. Because they do not trust the Constitution. They do not trust state legislatures, despite all their propaganda about limited government and decentralizing the government and their support of the Constitution. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Constitution with us. I've been asked, Mark, I thought you were one of these purists with the Constitution. I don't even know what that means, purist with the Constitution. But do I revere it? Yes. Do I support it? Yes. Do I promote it? Yes. But what I'm promoting and what I revere and what I support is not what's happening today. So when one justice on the Supreme Court can amend the Constitution, when one president can defy it serially, when a Congress can pass laws it doesn't have authority to pass under the Constitution, and then people say to me, I thought you supported the Constitution. I not only support the Constitution, I want us to breathe life back into the Constitution and reestablish it. And this is the real reason why there will be this pushback and this assault and all the rest, which I am fully prepared for and cannot wait to engage in. Now, why is Article 5, the Second Amendment process, illegitimate? It's not. They don't like it because it takes them out of the equation. I just read to you Alexander Hamilton's words. Alexander Hamilton, one of the framers of the Constitution, who was most in favor of a centralized government. And he says, unequivocally, when 2/3 of the states make application for a convention, Congress has no power to approve it or disapprove it. Congress has a ministerial task. It collects these resolutions. It informs the Archivist of the United States, and the states have their meeting. And if Congress will not do it and obstructs it, the states have their meeting anyway. Because enough is enough. These empty words, these dumbing us down or attempts to, these games that they play, we're losing our country. Many people think we've already lost it. I don't know how we're going to reverse the financial condition of this country. I have 2 amendments that suggest ways to do it, but it's going to be very, very difficult. No, this isn't going to happen tomorrow. It took 100 years to get us where we are today. The difference is the left never gives up. That's the nature of tyranny. Tyranny is always present. Tyranny is always threatening liberty. Well, it's time for those of us who believe in liberty to be just as resolute and be thinking generationally, too. Now, the difference between us and them is we have the Constitution on our side. They don't. Well, Mark, what if they hijack this process? What if they hijack this process? They've already hijacked this process. They've hijacked the whole Constitution, and they're rewriting it piece by piece. Let me give you an example. The state of North Carolina passed a new voter law to try and prevent fraud. It's tightened up early voting. It's eliminated same-day registration. It requires voter identification. And Hillary Clinton, among others, are running around comparing this to the 50s and 60s, where blatant racism and segregation ruled in some of our areas. This is as outrageous and unconscionable as it gets. The Democrat Party does not stand for a true vote. It does not stand for enfranchisement. It stands for voter fraud. Pure and simple. The idea that a damn voter ID given for free is somehow an obstruction to voting, somehow like a poll tax or literacy tax. What are we Americans? Are we idiots? Somehow we have the competency to vote, but we don't have the competency to get a voter ID. Somehow we have the competency, those of us who still pay taxes, to fill out those damn Internal Revenue Code forms, but we can't get a voter ID? Who are they kidding? This civil rights movement in this country is dead. It doesn't stand for civil rights. It stands for a big, centralized federal government. It has sold out these communities. That's why you still have rampant poverty in these communities. That's why they don't support school choice in these communities. That's why you can't get jobs in these communities, because the phony civil rights movement and these self-appointed leaders have thrown in with the big government authoritarians, thrown in with the NEA, thrown in with the big unions that block progress in these communities. And here's Hillary Clinton today. She's back. As I told Neil Cavuto today, Hillary Clinton is Barack Obama in a dress. And that's exactly what she is. Well, not exactly, but you get my point. Here she is today. One of the biggest demagogues ever to walk the planet. Go, cut 2.
Legislators in North Carolina have pushed through a bill that reads like the greatest hits of voter suppression.
Stop. Listen to this idiot. And that's right. She's an idiot. The greatest hits of voter suppression. Do you know where she's saying this? In front of the American Bar Association. Any lawyer with any credibility wouldn't belong to this left-wing radical group of kooks. I resigned from this group a quarter of a century ago. Why would you pay dues to these creeps? So let's listen to the great Hillary Clinton. Go.
Restricted early voting, no more same-day registration, or extending voting hours to accommodate long lines, stricter photo ID.
Stop. You notice the inflection in her voice? Oh, my goodness. What an actress. Restricted early voting. There's still early voting, but it's limited. That's perfectly legitimate. No more same-day registration. There should never be same-day registration. There's no opportunity for anybody to determine if the person registering is the person who they say they are. Extending voting hours to accommodate long lines? Stricter photo ID requirement. What is a stricter photo ID requirement? In one case, you're wearing a bag over your head. In another case, you're not. What the hell does that mean? What is a stricter voter ID requirement? Let's go. Go ahead.
Requirements that disqualify those issued by colleges or public assistance
Stop. Well, let's see. If you try to get on an airplane, will they accept identification issued by colleges or public assistance agencies? No. So the TSA then is institutionally racist. Is it not? Of course it is. So the next time, you people who feel you're being put upon, whatever your race, whatever your gender, whatever your whatever, you tell the TSA person there, Hillary Clinton said that you're racist. Because there's no other legitimate reason for this. None whatsoever. Go ahead.
Agencies, and it goes on and on.
Oh.
These are all changes that would have
shut
required...
up. I don't even want to hear another word from her. The greatest Secretary of State ever. Did you know she's the greatest Secretary of State ever? Can anybody give me one reason? We now have a new Cold War. We're hollowing out our military while the Chinese are massively building up theirs. Damn near the entire Middle East is on fire. Communism is spread in Central and South America. Our allies can't stand us. Oh, she's the greatest Secretary of State ever. What, for Russia? Certainly not for us. Oh, and by the way, she was once the greatest senator ever, too. What did she do? I don't know, but she was the greatest. So there you have it. Let's say she's elected, God forbid. So what happens to Bill Clinton? Is he put in charge of the internship program at the White House?
Mark Levin.
Obama's done it again. Our imperial president has unilaterally altered a federal statute, which he has no constitutional authority to do. I wanted to bring my good friend, Senator Mike Lee, on. Senator Lee, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. It's good to be with you, Mark.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and congratulations. Quite frankly, you kicked Karl Rove's butt across the country, so congratulations. Now, what do we make of this, Senator?
Well, this latest announcement is a doozy. This one is really, really shameless. The effect of this is to create a sort of a teaser rate for healthcare premiums next year. Premiums which would have skyrocketed because of Obamacare's restrictions on out-of-pocket expenses. That would have caused these healthcare premiums to just go sky high. But now they've created an environment in which those rates will be kept artificially low for the first year of the law's full implementation, and they will go sky high only at the end of 2014, and, not coincidentally, after the 2014 election cycle is complete, thus insulating the Obama administration and Democrats in Congress for yet another 2-year period. And this is awful. It's cynical. This represents the very worst kind of government.
Well, I'm going to assume you've picked up a few more Republicans in the Senate who said enough is enough. We have to take this on, correct?
Well, one would think that it would have this effect, and I still hold out hope that it's going to have that effect. We're still at 13. Now, we've been as high as 16 or 17 in the past. We lost a few weeks ago when heavy pressure was put on by certain people within the Republican Washington establishment. But I think this is going to help us gain momentum again, because Americans throughout the country are listening to this, and they're saying, isn't there something you can do to stop this? Isn't there something you can do to stop the President of the United States from usurping authority, acting unconstitutionally to amend this legislation again and again and again for partisan political purposes? And the answer is, yes, there is. Yes, we can, and the way to do it is to defund Obamacare.
Mm-hmm. And yet, it seems to me that some of your opponents within the Republican establishment are as ideologically driven against this as the left. In other words, they claim to oppose Obamacare. They want to hold hearings. Well, good Lord, you got to hold hearings on kumquats. That doesn't do anything. And they say, oh, are you challenging me that I don't oppose Obamacare? Well, hell yes, I am, because here it's time to fight, and you won't fight.
That's right. And look, it would be fun to hold hearings on kumquats or on the president's unconstitutional actions, but as you point out, it's not going to do a darn bit of good. The one piece of bargaining power we have right now, the one way we can prevent this law from kicking in as scheduled on January 1st and creating yet another impossible to repeal massive entitlement program is to defund it. And we've got just a little over 50 days left to do that.
What really troubles me about this, Senator Mike Lee, is the people are with us, and what the Republican establishment seems to be saying is we are not competent enough to address an intellectually corrupt president and party when they start blaming us for the shutdown of the federal government. We can't speak in terms that the American people will understand, so we are going to just back off, allow the status quo, and claim sometime down the road we'll do that, which we never will do.
That's right. That's right. And that's what's so shameless about this, is that those Republicans who are saying Obamacare is going to be so bad, Americans are going to hate it so much that we should let it kick in because we can allow this to inure to our political benefit in 2014. That's horrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, those who are saying that, I think, are suggesting a course of action that, if followed, would amount to political and legislative malpractice, absolute malpractice. And we can't allow that kind of malpractice to go on when it's going to hurt the American people. You know, the admonition that doctors are given when they're sworn in as doctors, they're told over and over again, first do no harm. We should aspire as lawmakers to first do no harm to the American people, especially those of us who call ourselves Republicans who claim to be against Obamacare. First do no harm. That means we've got to do everything within our power to stop Obamacare, and the only way to do that is to defund it.
And you know, Senator, they're creating a myth out of this 1995 government shutdown. Just as it was Clinton who shut down the federal government then, just as it would be Obama who shuts it down should you, proceed if it is shut down. And it's amazing. Over at the Heritage Foundation, they've explained this, that what actually came out of that was you won 2 seats in the Senate, you lost 8 or 9 in the House, which were likely to be lost anyway. You actually moved towards a balanced budget, and you got welfare reform. And they're painting this picture as apocalypse. And all I can say is the Republicans are damning themselves. They're damning themselves as incompetence. They're damning themselves as supporters of this big federal leviathan. And the people, you know what's going to happen in 2014? There's talk about this now. The base isn't going to turn out, and they may win the whole damn thing.
And why would they? Why would the base turn out when we act no different than Democrats do on this issue? That's why we've got to show that we're different, that we're willing to put policy first. Good politics will follow good policy, and this is good policy. And you know, you mentioned something, Mark, a minute ago that I have to comment on briefly, which is the fact that we're not advocating a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown. We're saying let's avoid a shutdown. What we're saying is let's have a bill that funds everything in government except Obamacare, and that stops both discretionary and mandatory spending for Obamacare enforcement. And let's have one vote on funding everything else in government so that we're not holding hostage the salaries of our military personnel, so that we're not holding hostage everything else in government just for Obamacare. Because Obamacare ought to be able to stand for funding purposes and otherwise on its own merits. And if it can't get the votes necessary to be funded on its own, then it shouldn't be funded.
Very quickly, I have 60 seconds. What do you make of these attacks on these states? They're trying to put in voter identification laws. The Supreme Court already said it's constitutional. And the leftists and Hillary Clinton, they act like it's a poll tax or a literacy tax. Oh, you're trying to suppress the vote. Isn't this absurd?
Well, it's absolutely absurd. And I assume that the same people are going to have a difficult time explaining the disparity between their current arguments and their arguments that will inevitably be made, that you will eventually have to have ID in order to get health care under Obamacare, I'm sure. So are they going to all of a sudden say that it's okay to require identification for healthcare-related purposes, but not for voting? And is that really the kind of country we want to live in, where states are forced to allow anyone to vote just because they say they're eligible without requiring them to prove their eligibility?
Excellent point, Senator. Keep up the good work. You're a great patriot, and we appreciate it. That's Senator Mike Lee. I'll be right back. You know, every time I release a book, there's like a little cabal of nerds sitting in their basement in their boxer shorts, unshaven with their tank tops on. Their mommy and daddy are subsidizing them as they sit there with a bottle of beer in their pot belly, their spittle dripping on their laps. And they, hey, I have an idea. What? Hey, let's go on Amazon and write negative reviews of Mark's. Hey, let's go on the social sites. They all sound like Nancy Pelosi. So, of course, that's what they've started to do. So if you've read the Liberty Amendments and you like it, I would just like to encourage you to go to Amazon, pull up the book. It's #1 on the bestseller list right now, and leave a nice comment. If you're of the mind. Because their goal is to they don't want people to learn about these things, to have open minds. I understand. They come from a totalitarian point of view. I get it. But I just want to encourage you, if you like it, I mean, if you don't like it, you can comment too. But if you do like it, your comments would be appreciated on Amazon. Let me take a few more calls here. Cam, Foster County, Virginia, the great WMAL. Where's Foster County?
Fauquier County.
Oh, Fauquier County.
Yeah, just south of you, Mark.
I know exactly where that is. It's Foster County, I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. Look, Mark, I'm retired Army. I couldn't obviously get involved in politics until I got out. But when I moved over to Virginia, I got involved over here. I'm a Tea Party member. And, we've been looking for a voice. In fact, we started up our own little online paper called Fauquier Free Citizen, and it's kind of been a movement across Virginia, too. So we've been waiting for years for someone to do something like this book. And what I want to know is how can I help? I think Lisa was a great caller. There's a lot of good points there, things we can do, but we need to mobilize people, get out there. We need to influence our state delegates here in Virginia, our senators and that.
Well, see, Kim, you've just laid it out. I mean, I can't go into every county in America, talk about grassroots effort. Now Mark Levin's in control. And plus, I'd have to retire from the radio just to get to each county in America. It's guys like you, military background, teachers, non-professionals, professionals, whatever, senior citizens, not so senior citizens. You all need to inform yourselves about what I'm talking about. It's right there in the Constitution. You can get the book at a library or whatever. You can get one book and share it among 25 people at your various events. If you even want to do that, talk about it. And then, to me, you need to start talking to state delegates and state senators as well as more and more people. And this is just, to me, it's just common sense.
Absolutely. I mean, we're definitely going to be talking to our delegates and our senators here in Virginia about this. It's a great time here because it's election time. So, you're going to support the Constitution of the United States or...
That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Right.
And by the way, don't get dispirited, don't get down if it doesn't happen right away. As you know, Cam, this is going to take some time.
I've said that for a long time, Mark. I spent 22 years of my life defending the Constitution. I've been out for quite a few years now. I continue to work to defend the Constitution, but I know it's not going to happen in my lifetime. I've resolved myself to the fact we're the same age, you and I, and I've resolved myself to the fact that I'm going to spend the rest of my life fighting to restore the Constitution of the United States for my children and my grandchildren.
Well, you're a good man, and you notice, Cam, how infrequently the Constitution is raised in Washington, never by the Democrats, rarely by the Republicans. It's because the system is unmoored from the Constitution. You will not hear Karl Rove on TV espousing provisions of the Constitution and demanding their reestablishment. You will not hear these Republican operatives talking about it. They think we're knuckleheads.
That's right. You know, and that's the thing that I fear. We have these people that are so entrenched in the system, and from what I haven't read your book yet.
Well, that's why we bypass them.
Absolutely. I mean, we need to get rid of these people that are professional politicians. Our founders never intended that to be.
No.
And until, recent decades, that wasn't the case. People went, they served, they represented the people, and they went home.
All right,
and
my
I'm
friend.
Particularly
Go ahead, I'm
happy,
sorry.
That's all right. I'm particularly happy that you addressed the issue of the 17th Amendment. I've been a big, repeal the 17th Amendment guy. I think that is the most damaging thing that was ever done to our Constitution.
And see, that in particular is going to require educating people. Now, a lot of people are just going to keep lamenting what's happening, throw up their hair, we're gone. I guess there's nothing I can do for people like that, Cam. If you're going to surrender or you've been conquered by the system and you're just comfortable spouting off, then, you can listen to any talk show host. But if you're really interested in engaging, and I don't just mean being an activist, at least engaging from an intellectual point of view, understanding what's possible in this country. I want people to be more optimistic. I want them to aspire to reestablish the constitutional system. We shouldn't allow consultants and operatives and a professional ruling class to tell us what is when it is not.
That's absolutely true. I am so happy that you're here to do these things, to write these books. You have a big megaphone, and I thank God that there's people out there like you that espouse.
Well, Cam, and I thank God there's people like you who served your nation in uniform and now are serving your nation out of uniform. Thank you, my friend. Let's, I don't know if he hung up. Let's get him a Liberty Amendment book. We still got him good. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, everybody. Mark Levin here from New York, the great WABC Radio. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. We're having a hell of a good time. I hope you are, too. Yes, trying to breathe life back into the Constitution and restore the Republic, and we can do this. Now listen to this story on Breitbart. NAACP, Department of Justice, Secret Service should investigate rodeo clown. I just want you to see how the left swarms around individuals and groups and pounces and pounces and pounces. As far as I know, the NAACP didn't say a damn thing when that 13-year-old white kid was beat to a pulp by 3 black teenagers. Not a damn thing. As far as I know, the Department of Justice isn't conducting a hate crime investigation. As far as I know, none of that's going on. So some guy at a radio puts an Obama mask on and the announcer says, "Would you like to see Obama run down by a bull?" Of course that's stupid. But they didn't say kill Bush, which was one of the rallying cries of the left. So now this will be a national issue for what, the next 3 weeks? Who's the radio clown? Excuse me, the rodeo clown. Well, we know who the radio clown is. But I better not mention his name. Or I'll be told to cut it out. So who's the who's the rodeo clown? On Tuesday, the Missouri State National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. First of all, isn't that racist right there? Am I right? What are you laughing at? See, the people surrounding me know who I'm talking about, but I'm not allowed to say. I can't even give a hint. All right, where was I? Being distracted by myself. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Let me say this to the NAACP. Isn't it time to modernize your name? We don't use the phrase colored people anymore. So why don't you cut it out? It should be the National Association for the Advancement of African Americans. Isn't that what they're trying to say? So that's number one. Now let's continue. They issued a statement asking for federal involvement in the case of a rodeo clown who wore an Obama mask and then asked the crowd if they'd like to see Obama run down by a bull. Again, stupid? Yes. But apparently now it's a federal offense. First of all, are you not allowed to wear an Obama mask? Is that against the law? Anybody know? Okay. But those Bush masks, they're fully in style. The Nixon masks, they never go away. Reagan, no, everybody. But this president's different. No, you can't wear an Obama mask. Particularly if you're a rodeo clown. The activities at the Missouri State Fair targeting and inciting violence against our president. Inciting violence against our president? You got to be kidding me. Are serious and warrant a full review by both the Secret Service and the Justice Department, said State President Mary Radliff. Incidents involving individuals acting out with extreme violence. He didn't act out with extreme violence. It was a rodeo clown in an Obama mask. Let's see here. Extreme violent behavior, acting out with extreme violent behavior in movie theaters, schools, churches, and political appearances and outdoor events in general speaks volumes to the irresponsible behavior of all the parties involved with the incendiary events at the Missouri State Fair. Was the new Black Panther Party there, I wonder, swinging its clubs around, threatening people? Did the NAACP... Maybe they did. I'm not one that reads all their press releases and so forth. Condemn that. I'm sure they did. Yes, we need a full-fledged federal investigation into the rodeo clown wearing the Obama mask. He needs to be unmasked. Oh, and I believe I read somewhere that he needs sensitivity training. What would that sensitivity training be like? Don't wear Obama masks? What? I'm serious. What would this sensitivity training be like? Does Harry Reid need sensitivity training for the comments he's made lately? No, he needs medicine, actually. But that's a whole other story. Maybe a little electric shock treatment, something to kick him back into action there. But anyway, I found that story. I'm thinking, what is this going to be like another 3-week event? Wall-to-wall coverage at MSLSD. That'll be hilarious. Al Sharpton of Tawana Brawley fame and all the rest of it, demanding justice. Anytime that guy demands justice, it's pretty funny, don't you think? Considering what he's done in the past. Now, I want to go back to Hillary Clinton at the American Bar Association. The American Bar Association speakers is like a who's who of the Democrat Party. They had Eric Holder there. Now there's Eric Holder again. He just suspended certain types of sentences for drug use. Does an attorney general have that power? Where did that come from? Tyranny, it becomes a habit after a while. Anyway, back to Hillary Clinton yesterday at the American Bar Association, which really is about right. You know what they do at this thing? They have these phony seminars, and then they go to the bar. Cut 3, go.
One of my early mentors as a lawyer was John Doerr. who argued pivotal voting rights cases for the Kennedy Justice Department. In 1963 in Jackson, Mississippi, John stepped between angry protesters and armed police to prevent a potential massacre after the murder of Medgar Evans.
All right, stop. Medgar Evers, not Medgar Evans. Now, this happens so many times with the radical left. Their lack of knowledge, their inability to speak in complete sentences, their faux pas about events, about famous people, and so on and so on. We have a vice president who's got an IQ of 14, who never learned proper English. He can't speak in complete sentences. He makes a fool of himself all the time. Amazing Paul Ryan couldn't beat him in a debate, but that's neither here nor there. We have a president of the United States, the corpseman, and on and on and on. You know, doofus talk. But he's the smartest man to ever be president. Excuse me, the smartest man ever to walk the planet. You know, so if you're a liberal Democrat, you're Einstein. So they're all Einstein. And here, Medgar Evers, who is, he's like an iconic figure during the civil rights movement. And she calls him Medgar Evans. Medgar Evans. Now, if a Republican had said Medgar Evans instead of Medgar Evers, I dare say the NAACP would want the FBI and Secret Service to investigate that person, too. They'd at least mock the person. You know, Rand Paul is out there trying to reach out to various organizations and groups. Can you imagine if he had said at Howard University, talked about the murder of Medgar Evans? He'd be a laughingstock. He'd be mocked. But not Hillary Clinton. She can do anything, say anything, be married to anyone, and it doesn't matter. The greatest Secretary of State in American history. The greatest. We don't know why, but she is. And the greatest senator in American history. We don't know why, but she is. The greatest first lady in American history. We don't know why, but she is. And no matter what, she will be the next president of the United States, right? Won't even be an election. She's the next president of the United States. And the funniest part, and we won't play it because everybody else plays it, is when she does that lingo thing. What is that? You know what I'm talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about, don't you? She's at a black church. She didn't sound like any human being that I'm aware of. I will tell you that. She sounded like somebody to me who'd been suffering from constipation for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Mark Levin.
One of the reasons I get frustrated and upset with these organizations. You have, throughout this country, I don't even know the body count right now, mayhem and murder that is particularly concentrated in minority communities and the black community. And so little is being done to address it. So while it's easy to focus on this rodeo clown, and fine, focus on the rodeo clown, it's harder to address these big issues. You see what I'm saying? That really affect the murder of innocent people, people who become victims, like gang violence and so forth. It doesn't get nearly the attention that this stupid article about the rodeo clown gets. And this is troubling to me. Same with the school systems in this country. How many kids, particularly minority kids, are left behind because these organizations align themselves with the NEA or the AFT? So, you know, countless numbers of minority kids are stuck in these schools that are crime-ridden, where they don't get educations, where they're illiterate and on and on and on, and they're dangerous. I just don't understand why these organizations, maybe I'm not familiar enough with them, but I just don't understand why these organizations aren't more focused on questioning what the Obama administration is or isn't doing, questioning what these mayors and city councils are or aren't doing. And I won't talk about Chicago and these other cities. We can talk about them till I'm blue in the face, and we have talked about them. But this is real life and death stuff, not some jerk rodeo clown. And I don't think these organizations really are as focused as they ought to be, because these are hard issues. And they may step on the political toes of people that they're aligned with. So we're going to have this rodeo clown story for the next, I don't know how many days, sensitivity training, FBI ought to investigate, Secret Service ought to investigate, because the idiot wore a mask and the idiot announcer said something stupid. And by the way, I suspect this goes on all over the place all the time with all kinds of people in masks and comments, rodeos. I don't know. It just seems to me, if I were running one of these organizations and they said, what's your priority? I'd say my priority is to save our children. My priority is to hunt down these abortionists in these storefront places that are slaughtering our babies. My priority is to break the monopolistic hold on public education so that our children can get an education. This would be my priority. So I really cannot fathom all the excitement and so forth and anger or whatever that builds. Well, I got a rodeo clown, and then the whole world's focused on the rodeo clown. The nation can't even name the children who are being slaughtered this week. They can't even name the children. And the babies being aborted, they're not even considered human beings. But the rodeo clown, that's what we need to focus on, the rodeo clown. And I don't know, I'm just giving my opinion. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's so stupid. Kevin, Seattle, the great KVI, go. I couldn't hear you. Kevin, Seattle. Gone. Patrick, Panama City, Florida, the great WYOO, go.
Hey, good evening, Mark. I want to thank you so much for writing your book, The Liberty Amendments. It is already being talked about here on local talk shows, and I really think it's going to help lay a groundwork for a lot of people to take action. So many times I hear here locally, what do we do? What do we do? We don't feel like our legislators are listening to us at all, and usually that's the case. And now we have something that we feel we can really take action with. And as I said, it's already been talked about on a local talk show here, and I think it's going to gain ground quickly.
Well, you're very, very kind. There's no there's no magic wand that could be waved here, and all of a sudden everything's fixed and everything's the way we want it to be. It's not going to work that way. And the statist left, they've been pushing their agenda for decades, one after another after another. And I just feel we're constantly on defense. We're constantly accepting how they define the issues. And we believe that what's coming is inevitable because, people won't stand up to it. So, this is my answer. It's a plan that is the framers' plan. I feel like we need to take a first step, which is to inform ourselves, and it'll either work or it won't. But I can't really conceive of too many other options.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that we've got a lot of work to do, and I will have my hands on your book hopefully in the next couple of days. I expect it, and I will be sharing it with a local group here, the Bay Patriots, and with everybody I can via Facebook and whatever else.
Well, I'll tell you what, Patrick, you're a great patriot. Don't hang up. We're going to send you a copy of the Liberty Amendments Restoring the American Republic. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. If we can spark a debate here and there and the debate picks up, then we will have accomplished a great deal. Optimism, aspiration. This is what we need, ladies and gentlemen. Recourse. Let's not just roll up into a fetal position in the corner and lament our fate. It is not inevitable. In the long run, it is not inevitable. I'll be right back.
Don't ask him for middle ground. There is no middle ground. Talk with Mark Levin now at 877-381-3811.
I don't know. These shows go fast for me. But then again, I'm the host. How about we take some more calls here? Let us go to Don, Joplin, Missouri, the great KZRG. Go.
Hello, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
I listened to your opening remarks tonight, and it made something click in my brain that the IRS may be saying something honest. This is nonpartisan, targeting the Tea Party. What's nonpartisan opposite? It's bipartisan. Have the Republican establishment also asked the IRS to target the Tea Party?
You know, I can't imagine that they did, but I will tell you this much. I'll go 5-10% where you are, and that's this. When this scandal first broke, it didn't break because of anything Congress did. Tea Party groups and individuals involved were complaining to Congress from the get-go. One question was asked at the end of a hearing by a subcommittee chairman about the issue. A couple letters were fired off a couple months later, but there was no real hot pursuit prior to the election to try and figure out what was going on. The Tea Party and these groups were dismissed as knuckleheads, as kooks, as extremists, even by the Republicans. They did the bare minimum Congress could do. There were not oversight hearings, so there wasn't demands and so forth. Honestly, that's one of the reasons Landmark Legal Foundation stepped in. An individual went to a friend of ours who came to me and said, we're not getting any response here. The kinds of questions they're asking about me, an American citizen, to a Tea Party group, it's frightening. And I thought, okay, well, let's find out what's going on. So our general counsel called this individual, interviewed him. He was absolutely legitimate. He had documentation. And we filed the complaint with the Tax Division Inspector General for Administration at the Treasury Department, a complaint against the Internal Revenue Service based on this information, and that is what instigated the Inspector General investigation. Now, in the report, they say that Congress had raised it. Congress raised it after we filed our complaint. So they're all working together in that sense. But these committee chairmen, I know they get upset with me, ISA and Camp and the rest of them, they weren't on the ball. They didn't go after this when it mattered prior to the election. As I say, their staff fired off a few letters, but they didn't even fire them off to the right people. You have people writing the IRS. IRS says, wait a minute, this is the Treasury Department, the Inspector General for Tax Administration. That's the person you file it with. These are oversight committees. And yet I had figured this out through our years of litigation. So I don't think there's this grand conspiracy. I think that these committees at that get-go were timid the way they're timid so often about other things. Finally, when the Inspector General issued his report, while it wasn't fulsome, while it made some excuses, while it diverted attention to a couple of individuals in Cincinnati, then they jumped in, then they wanted more information, when in fact the scandal had, at least in its early stages, been exposed. Thank you for your call. And I'll tell you right now, I'll give you an example. What is the House of Representatives doing to force the FBI to conduct this investigation? Is it cutting funding? Is it making any sort of threats? Did they work with the Senate side to hold up the new FBI director and leave the old one there until something's done? They didn't do anything. Listen, we're holding depositions, but you don't have any power. You don't have the power of criminal prosecutions and so forth. You don't have any of that. So in any event, so I don't believe that the Republicans are actively, affirmatively involved in some conspiracy. I just think they're timid. And it's really problematic. It's just like I think when you hear Karl Rove on TV and the others going on, and other staffers for the Bush administration going on and on, we can't take on Obamacare now. You have to keep in mind, they expanded Medicare. They're the ones that added the drug benefit. You have to keep in mind, that was the most profligate administration before the current administration. So they're not thinking like us. They don't see these things as dire. They'll talk about them. They'll hold hearings. They'll go on TV. They'll write their little columns on their websites. They'll talk to each other. They have their little circle thing going there and so forth. But they're really not serious about pulling this back. I am. Many of you are. Let us go to Bill, Princeton, New Jersey, the great WABC. Go.
Hey, Mark, how you doing tonight? I wanted to thank you, first of all, for being a great patriot and for everything that you've done for the movement. I also want to let you know that I went out this morning in the pouring rain and voted for Steve Lonigan for New Jersey Senate.
It's a good man.
Yes, he is, and I hope whomever the Democratic nominee is, he takes him out in the October special election.
It'll be Booker, is my guess, but, you know, win, lose, or draw, at least in New Jersey, and it's an uphill fight in New Jersey, everybody knows that, it's time to draw those lines and make them clear.
Absolutely. The other point I wanted to let you know is I actually went out today and I bought your book and I started reading. I go part-time to Rutgers for my MBA, and I ended up reading it during class, which probably wasn't such a good idea. But
did you have to take the cover off?
No, I didn't. I sit in the back of the room so the professor couldn't see me, and he's actually he's a Republican as well. Yeah. So he would be okay if he saw me reading it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say I got through about a chapter and a half, and I absolutely love the book so far. I'm actually going to get one for my dad for his birthday later this month. I just wanted to thank you again. It's a great book, and I recommend everybody go out and get it for it.
Well, thank you, Bill. And you're not a plant, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm a listener. Usually I'm at class when you're on, so I end up listening on the app. But, I really enjoy your show, and I just wanted to say, everyone, it's a great book. I've only gone through a chapter and a half, but I couldn't put it down, so I read it in class.
Well, you're really kind. Your dad's birthday. Don't hang up. We'll send him a signed copy of the Liberty Amendments, too. Thanks, Bill. God bless you. I know I'm giving out a lot of them today. We'll probably run out of them, but that's okay. That's what it's for. Let's see. How about Fernando, East Palo Alto, California? I know exactly where that is. The great KSFO. How are you, sir?
Mark Levin, the great one.
How are you, brother?
Doing good, boss. Just listening. And
now, hold on, Fernando. I remember you. You called about 3 or 4 months ago, didn't you?
That's correct. You were saying if only you were in my area, you would let me detail your cars. But maybe we'll get a chance. I missed out on buying tickets to the Reagan Library. If only I could...
hold on. You're the guy that details cars, right?
That's correct.
Isn't that what you just said? Yeah, I do remember you. You missed out on the Reagan Library. Now, what can I do? See, if I start here, there'll be no end to this.
Listen, what I wanted to talk about was what Mike Lee gave us a heads up about what Obama was going to try to do with the health care, subsidizing the out-of-pocket costs. And I almost crashed my truck when I heard that. I said, oh, my God, this guy's going to put another landmine in America's fabric again. That's what he's doing with the student loans, this whole 3% subsidized. People don't know the government's paying the difference. The banks aren't eating the other 3%. And he uses that as a leverage every time when we need to bring it back to what the market says is 6%. He's going to do the same thing with the health care. God forbid anybody say, hey, we can't afford to be subsidizing this.
So your point is he uses this endlessly, and the left will, as leverage to get votes, to rally the people. Just every few years, the issue of student loan interest rate, every few years, the issue of subsidizing Obamacare. There's not going to be any end to this.
And he's just basically making lemonade out of this situation, and he's going to get another tool to leverage a class warfare against us. We have to have the guts to, like you said, we have to man up and have the guts to use the same passion that the left does when they're attacking us. We need to be able to man up and listen. We can't even defund Obamacare when, God forbid, Obama every day is defunding America, day and night. We're going to pay the price down the road, and he's spending America's treasure and blood and sacrifice, and we can't even have the guts to rally and push for Obamacare to be defunded? Come on.
I'm with you, my man. I'll tell you what. Let me send you a signed copy of the Liberty Amendment. You don't even have to wait in line. I'll just send it to you. So don't hang up, okay?
Very good.
All right, good man. Fernando's a good guy. He said he details cars. If I came out to California, he'd detail my car. Well, that's a little far to get my car detailed, but if you were around here, you better believe it. Good man. All right, let's see here. Austin, Las Vegas, Nevada, the Mark Levin app. How are you, sir?
I am great, Mark. Thank you so much for taking my call. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Excuse me. Very well. Thank you.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to, I was reading Ameritopia this weekend, which you sent me. I just want to thank you for that. And, you talked about, and I really related this to the establishment. When you're, in Ameritopia references how the statist will experience as a handicap, meaning that
right.
The more ideological you are and the less practical you are, the better of a statist you make, which explains our president's demagoguing. But, with Karl Rove and the other establishment types, it also makes sense because they're kind of neo-statists, and in that sense that Karl Rove yesterday, when he was arguing Mike Lee on Hannity's show, he kept on painting that narrative that we got our clocks cleaned after the shutdown, that we lost those 5 seats. And he doesn't keep in perspective that you've gone over, that we gained 2 seats that year in the Senate, which is a greater ratio when you consider the 2 to 100 over the 5 seats the House.
But your point is it's almost like he doesn't care. The facts don't matter, right?
Exactly, and with immigration as well. You have clearly represented, there's clearly research out there that shows that we lose more of a Hispanic vote when we cater to amnesty and when we cater to, trying to cater to the welfare or expand that department. We lose more of our Hispanic base by not securing the border. But he doesn't care. They keep on walking around Washington saying that if we don't do this, we're done for forever.
Yeah, and this is a guy who the so-called architect in 2006, he lost us the House of Representatives. This is a guy in 2000 who was the so-called architect. We didn't win the popular vote, although we did legitimately win the presidency through the Electoral College. This is a guy that has a less than 2% winning percentage in the last Senate race where he poured millions and God knows how much money into these races. And I don't know why he's such an authority on anything. All right, Austin, thank you for your call. You're right on, brother. Really. You're digesting all this stuff. I appreciate. How many talk shows do people talk about political philosophy, about the Constitution, about these things? I mean, I'm so proud of this audience. I really am. I am blessed by you. The smartest audience, not just in radio, period. Except for the drones who call. But they're the exception, not the rule. Gold line. There's a fiscal fight in Washington approaching. In fact, it's due to start next month. And it's likely to rattle the confidence in the American economy once again. I'm talking about the 2014 budget and debt ceiling debates. Yes, they're coming. They're coming. Will you be prepared if our economy faces collapse one day under the weight of government debt and inflation? With gold and silver at 2-year lows, now is the time to consider diversifying your portfolio with a tangible asset that has survived economic catastrophes. And Goldline has this 2-way price guarantee program. And with this program, if the price of your qualifying purchase drops, you can call Goldline to reprice it at the lower price. And if the price of your qualifying purchase goes up, you can buy more at the original price. Either way, Goldline has you covered. So call Goldline right now, the only precious metals company that I purchase from, to learn more about how you can qualify to receive this limited time special. And for a limited time, when you call Goldline for its free investor kit and mention that I, Mark Levin, sent you, Goldline will include that really neat commemorative medal for free with Ben Franklin on one side and Independence Hall on the other. Yes, I designed it. It's beautimous. Along with the free investor kit. So call Goldline today, 1-877-365-2646. Read Goldline's important risk information to see if buying precious metals is right for you. 1-877-365-2646. 1-877-365-COIN. That's 1-877-365-COIN.
Mark Levin.
Jeff, Albany, New York, the great WGY country. Go.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mark.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
I've listened to the last couple of nights regarding your new book, both on Hannity and your own show. And one part I didn't hear you cover, which I'm wondering about, would be interested in your opinion on, is the open certain states that have an open primary election. Where would it be possible to mandate for purposes of federal elections in states that you must be a registered member of a party to vote for the primary, for the candidate in the primary for that party? To me, it seems akin to...
Go ahead.
To me, it seems akin to, I'm a member of the YMCA, but I insist I want to go vote for elections at Gold's Gym. And
you could do that. I think open primaries are stupid for political parties, but I'm talking about really a systemic change. Who should make the decisions? So that's why I don't get into things like a particular issue like abortion, as an example, although certainly states are free to bring that up, or this sort of thing, open or closed primaries. What I'm talking about is reacquainting ourselves with the Federalist system and our constitutional system, and at what level and in which places are these decisions supposed to be made. That's really the bottom line. I personally think open primaries are foolish. Your political party should choose their own candidates.
Well, it seems to be very destructive or potentially, ripe for fraud. I don't know if fraud's kind of a strong word, but especially in very early primary states that are highly influential. I think you mean mischief.
Listen, you're making a point that I've made, and I agree with you. I don't think it is a place for a federal constitutional amendment where you could have a laundry list of stuff like this. As I say, my concern is with devolving authority back to where it belongs under the Constitution, not remaking the Republican Party or the Democrat Party or any party for that matter. All right, my friend?
I appreciate you having me on.
How much time do I have, Mr. Producer? All right, Kevin, Georgia, Sirius Satellite, go.
Hey, so I'm brand new to the show. I've only listened to it a few weeks. Definitely new to politics, so I'm trying to educate myself.
Well, thank you. Give peace a chance.
It's an awesome show so far. I've enjoyed it. I'm trying to figure out where I fit in, though. I've always voted Republican. The problem is I don't necessarily agree all Republican. We seem to be stuck in an old era, and we're not evolving. It seems like the Democrats are kind of walking away with things.
I don't know if it's a question of evolving. I think the Republican leadership is regressing. I think that they are not confident about issues like liberty and free markets and private property rights and our constitutional history, and so they're not effective in defending them. I think they're perfectly comfortable with the status quo, whether they want to adjust Obamacare a little here or adjust it there. They don't really want to, ultimately kill it off as they should. They're just not a very thoughtful group of people, so it creates a problem. You're not a left-wing goofball Democrat. On the other hand, you're unhappy with the Republicans, and you're in a position that many, many, many of us are in.
Right, and it just seems like we're pandering to them. I mean, we got to stand up sooner or later. Somebody's got to stand up to this,
Now's the time, my brother.
I agree 100%. Thanks for your show. I thoroughly enjoy it.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, what a pleasure it is to be talking to you, my beloved audience. I want to salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, and emergency personnel. Those of you who are getting the book, whether it's your library, whether sharing it from somebody else, whether purchasing it on your own, that is, I hope you like it. Today's the first day of release. And I'll see you tomorrow, America. I'm Mark Levin.